She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA.
Rebecca Lobo has just made comments about Caitlin Clark and the state of WNBA officiating that are impossible for league executives to brush aside. Her message comes at a time when the debate over officiating has reached a boiling point, especially after the Indiana Fever's highly controversial matchup against the Connecticut Sun. While that game once again demonstrated the incredible impact of the Caitlin Clark effect, it also exposed a growing concern that poor officiating could eventually damage the league's biggest opportunity for growth. Lobo, one of the most respected voices in WNBA history, did not hold back. She raised concerns that go far beyond a single game and echoed frustrations that many players are reportedly expressing behind the scenes. Her comments suggest that the league still has not figured out how to properly protect and support its biggest star. Whether WNBA officials like hearing it or not, these are conversations that can no longer be ignored. Today, we're taking a closer look at Rebecca Lobo's powerful remarks, the latest chapter in the Fever's growing story, and why this situation represents both exciting progress for the league and a serious warning about the direction it is heading. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this content, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Surprisingly, more than 83% of the people watching haven't subscribed yet. It only takes a moment, it's completely free, and your support truly helps the channel grow. Have you subscribed already? If you have, thank you so much for being part of the community. Now, let's get back to the story.
The second-year players clearing out that side of the floor, shooting on Stewie, and then watch the reaction with one another. Stewie's left.
Caitlin Clark's incredible return came just a few games ago, and she wasted no time reminding everyone why she's one of the league's biggest stars. She exploded for 25 points in the first half, highlighted by 3 deep logo three-pointers in just 38 seconds. It was a breathtaking performance that thrilled fans and reminded them of everything they had been missing while she was away. More importantly, it sent a message across the WNBA about who the true game-changing stars are and why Clark continues to be at the center of the league's biggest moments.
And Cunningham is down behind the play, but they've got Caitlin Clark. 2 players with incredible up. Clark, another long three.
The game that followed made one thing impossible to ignore. It proved that while the WNBA has talented players across the league, no one currently drives attention quite like Caitlin Clark. Her 5-game absence was more than just a stretch without its biggest star. It became a revealing look at the league's current reality. Attendance declined, social media engagement dropped, and the nationwide buzz surrounding the WNBA noticeably slowed. Without Clark on the court, many of the league's biggest storylines struggled to capture the same excitement, making it clear just how much interest she generates every time she plays.
Here we go with Caitlin Clark, singularly, being missing for the time she was gone, and ratings tanking, 50% in some cases. And then also she comes back and reminds everyone how spectacular she is, and everybody's talking about the WNBA. So if you needed to sort of have it affirmed to you that it is just her, that the singularity of her is what we are talking about, and her star power, you got it with this absence and then the way she came back.
Caitlin Clark's return gave the WNBA a much-needed boost after weeks of falling television ratings and increasing criticism surrounding the league. Her highly anticipated matchup against the New York Liberty attracted an impressive audience of 2.8 million viewers, making it one of the most-watched WNBA broadcasts in recent history. For comparison, the NHL Stanley Cup Finals averaged around 2.5 million viewers. While basketball and hockey are very different sports with different audiences, the fact that a regular season WNBA game featuring Clark drew numbers that rivaled a championship series from one of North America's oldest men's leagues is remarkable. Despite the significance of that achievement, WNBA leadership appears to have underestimated what it truly represents, a point we'll return to shortly. Rebecca Lobo, however, saw exactly how important Clark's comeback was. The Olympic gold medalist, Basketball Hall of Famer, and one of ESPN's most respected analysts recognized the magnitude of the moment. But before we examine her sharp criticism of the league's officiating, let's first hear how she described the enormous impact of Caitlin Clark's return.
Tell me, what does Clark's return mean for the WNBA?
Well, I mean, it means a lot more people are paying attention once again. We know how much Caitlin drives ratings. We know how much Caitlin drives attention on the WNBA. And for her to come back and do it in that way was just ridiculous.
Listen carefully to what Wnba Lobo said, because her words carry more meaning than they first appear to. She pointed out that people are watching again. It may sound like a simple statement, but it speaks volumes. If viewers are coming back, it means many of them had stopped watching in the first place. And everyone knows when that decline began, during the period when Caitlin Clark was sidelined. Lobo wasn't making an offhand remark. She was highlighting a trend that the league cannot afford to ignore. She then went a step further, explaining why fans immediately returned the moment Clark was back on the court and why her presence continues to have such a powerful impact on the WNBA.
At the end of the first quarter, when she had that 38-second stretch where she drained deep three after deep three after deep three, I was just sitting there thinking, I've been around this league since 1997. I have never seen that in a WNBA game. Have we seen players go on runs? Of course we have, but not like that. Not where a couple of the three-pointers are from 30-plus feet. It was an exhibition by...
That's exactly the point. These weren't ordinary long-range jumpers or routine three-pointers. They were fearless logo shots launched from well beyond the arc, the kind of attempts that very few players in basketball can consistently make with confidence. That's one of the biggest reasons fans tune in every time Caitlin Clark steps onto the court. Even Natasha Cloud, despite her well-known disagreements with many Clark supporters, acknowledged the reality of what Clark brings to the game. Defenders have to start picking her up the moment she crosses half court, because giving her even a little space can be a mistake. That level of defensive attention is extremely rare, and it's not something you see every day. As Wnba Lobo has pointed out, Clark's shooting range and ability to change a game from anywhere on the floor are simply extraordinary.
This angle is wild, folks. There's the eye gouge. Watch Mabry. Boom! I mean, come on.
Everything that has unfolded, not just since Caitlin Clark's return, but throughout last season and continuing into this one, has raised increasingly serious questions. The discussion is no longer just about a few missed whistles or overly physical defense. Many critics argue that it reflects a pattern that has become difficult to ignore, with respected WNBA voices like Wnba Lobo openly expressing concerns about the league's officiating. The Fever's game against the Connecticut Sun only intensified that debate and left many people wondering whether stronger action should have been taken. During the game, a series of physical plays involving Caitlin Clark, Jacy Sheldon, and Marina Mabry quickly became the center of attention. Clark and Sheldon had exchanged words earlier in the contest, but many observers felt that the later contact crossed the line from competitive basketball into unnecessary physicality. Commentators on the broadcast sounded genuinely surprised by how the situation was handled, and many fans, analysts, coaches, and players expected more severe penalties than were ultimately issued. The incident sparked widespread debate across the basketball world and renewed questions about consistency in WNBA officiating and player safety.
Hey, we would have been crashing out RT.
Courtney, if somebody ever tackles you like that,
Nobody would ever tackle me like that. They would play with Bridget like that, and then we would have to like take it up there.
okay.
You see what I'm saying?
But I'm just saying.
Nobody would ever play with me like
if
that.
that ever happened, you better crash out behind me, because I'm crashing out behind you.
T,
We can share the same jail cell.
The play involving Caitlin Clark being knocked to the floor and taking contact to the face quickly went viral, dominating conversations across social media and sports shows. However, many observers argued that it was not a random or isolated moment. The intensity had been building throughout the entire game, with emotions rising on both sides and several physical exchanges taking place before the incident. Critics believe the officials failed to regain control early, allowing the tension to escalate until it eventually reached a breaking point and became one of the most talked about moments of the season.
Jacy Sheldon right here with an entire handful of Caitlin Clark's shoulder and bicep, and she's twisting it, okay? I mean, this is wild. Here's the zoomed out look, the snapshot. I mean, this league does not have control of its play.
As the game went on, the physical play and frustration only continued to escalate. By the final whistle, the tension had reached a boiling point. Fever head coach Stephanie White was clearly furious after the game, and her emotions were obvious even before she addressed the media. She sat down at the podium, took a deep breath to collect herself, and then spoke candidly about what had unfolded, making it clear that she believed serious questions needed to be asked about how the game had been officiated.
The game has changed so much. Players are faster, they're better, they're bigger, they're stronger. They're as good as they've ever been. They're as athletic as they've ever been. The game is fast now. Things are happening quickly. Everybody's getting better, except the officials.
That was perhaps the strongest way to criticize the officiating without directly calling out individual referees by name. The message was clear. While players, coaches, and the league continue to improve, many believe the standard of officiating has not kept pace. It's a criticism that reflects frustrations expressed by numerous coaches, players, and fans throughout the season. More importantly, these concerns did not begin with the Fever's game against the Connecticut Sun. Many observers argue that the issue has been building for months, with repeated complaints about inconsistent officiating, missed foul calls, and concerns that star players, including Caitlin Clark, have not always received adequate protection during highly physical games. Those ongoing debates have only intensified as the season has progressed, keeping the spotlight firmly on how the league manages player safety and game consistency.
What was that play? Oh my god, this is rigged. This is rigged. She got yanked, fell on her hip. That's a hack! That's a hack! That's a hack! Oh my god, they hacked the one upon her and they hacked Caitlin Clark. They are both hacks. They are both hacks. They hacked Fever twice, and then there was a phantom foul called on Sabrina Ionescu.
From the opening weeks of the season, many Fever fans felt their team was not getting consistent foul calls. But those frustrations appeared to reach a new level during Indiana's narrow 90-88 loss to the New York Liberty. It was a game that quickly became one of the league's most debated matchups, with players, analysts, and fans all questioning several officiating decisions. Many observers believed the foul calls were inconsistent throughout the night, pointing to the noticeable difference in free throw opportunities between the two teams as evidence. However, the biggest controversy came in the closing seconds. On Indiana's final possession, many fans argued that Caitlin Clark was fouled by Natasha Cloud before she could attempt a potential game-winning shot, but no whistle was blown. Replay after replay spread across social media, fueling heated debate among analysts and supporters alike. The frustration carried over beyond that game, with Fever head coach Stephanie White continuing to voice concerns about officiating after later contests. Ironically, White was eventually fined by the league for publicly criticizing the officials, a decision that only intensified the discussion surrounding WNBA officiating. Whether those complaints are fully justified or not, the growing dissatisfaction has become impossible to ignore. And before we even examine Rebecca Lobo's comments, which many believe raise even more serious questions, we first have to understand the increasing frustration that has been building throughout the WNBA.
She got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both.
Rather than easing players' concerns about increasingly physical games, many critics believe the officiating has done little to address them, leaving frustration to continue growing. That brings us back to Rebecca Lobo and the broader discussion surrounding Caitlin Clark's role in the league. As the season has progressed, some players have openly expressed worries that if the current level of physical play continues without consistent officiating, someone could eventually get seriously hurt. For many observers, the issue extends beyond any single player or game. Caitlin Clark has become one of the league's biggest attractions, and whenever she is sidelined, the WNBA's overall visibility and momentum are affected. The league, its players, television networks, and fans all understand the importance of having its biggest stars on the court, whether they openly acknowledge it or not. Rebecca Lobo, to her credit, did not exaggerate or sensationalize the situation. Instead, she delivered her message in a calm and measured way. But if you listen carefully to what she was really saying, her comments raise concerns that are far more significant than they may seem at first.
The second time where I'm attacking, it's very physical. I'm saying something to the ref, watch my landing space, watch physicality. I get laughed at, and it ends in my ankle getting turned. The same thing happened in Dallas, a flagrant that wasn't called. Same thing happened here. So my ankle is hanging in there, but it's starting to get very frustrating. I'm averaging less than 2 free throws a game, and I drive, I'm physical. I'm not someone who's avoiding contact. So I just hope that the safety of players starts to become a priority versus the ego of refs.
Did you catch what Rebecca Lobo was really saying? She wasn't suggesting that only a handful of coaches were worried about the officiating. According to Lobo, every coach she has spoken with believes it has become a major concern. That's what makes the situation even more significant. If coaches across the league are reaching the same conclusion, it suggests that the issue is no longer being viewed as an isolated complaint, but as a league-wide problem that demands attention. Many believe that if confidence in the officiating continues to decline, the WNBA will eventually have to consider meaningful changes, whether through improved training, greater accountability, or other reforms. Lobo's comments also hinted at another growing concern. If coaches begin feeling that officials are not doing enough to protect players during highly physical games, they may feel an even greater responsibility to stand up for their own athletes. That possibility raises difficult questions about player safety, competitive balance, and the direction the league chooses to take moving forward.
It is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA, and all of them said it needs to get better. Specifically, the consistency, not only from one game to the next, but the consistency with
That's the heart of the issue. It's like removing highway patrols and allowing drivers to speed without consequences. Before long, everyone feels pressured to drive faster just to keep up, even though the risks continue to grow. Many critics argue that the WNBA is creating a similar environment. By failing to consistently enforce officiating standards, they believe the league is encouraging increasingly physical play, where athletes feel they must match that intensity simply to compete. Players know that many hard fouls may go unpunished, making aggressive play seem like part of the game rather than an exception. The results have already been widely debated. The repeated hard contact involving Caitlin Clark, controversial fouls, heavy body checks, and growing frustration from coaches, analysts, and fans. And when similar incidents continue to happen without consistent consequences, many people begin to wonder whether they are isolated mistakes or signs of a much larger problem. To those critics, it can start to feel as though protecting one of the league's biggest stars is no longer being treated as the priority it should be.
Told me, we tell our players to be as physical as they can possibly be for 40 minutes because we know for 38 of them, they're pretty much going to get away with it. So I think everybody would like to see a tighter whistle and a little bit more freedom of movement.
And to be fair, it's understandable why WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert wants strong rivalries. She has spoken publicly about the value of competition and the fact that players don't have to be overly friendly with one another. In principle, there's nothing wrong with that. Great rivalries create excitement, attract viewers, and help grow any sport. A little intensity and emotion can make games even more entertaining. But when it comes to Caitlin Clark, many critics argue that the league doesn't need manufactured controversy or unnecessarily physical play to generate interest. That would be a costly mistake. The WNBA already has one of the most talked about, widely watched, and marketable athletes in women's sports today. Clark's popularity alone brings enormous attention to the league, and there are countless examples showing why her impact is unlike anything the WNBA has experienced in years.
They just kept shoving Caitlin. They're like, well, they can't keep calling. They can't just keep calling fouls. I'm like, they're literally just running around hacking her. The referees have made it like a point that this is how you beat the fever. You hack them. You don't even, it's not being physical. You just hack them. because the referees are going to allow them to be hacked. Late in the game with the fever, hack them. Not being physical, hack them. Don't go for the ball.
Everyone focuses on the television ratings whenever Caitlin Clark is playing compared to when she's out of the lineup, and by now that story is well known. But Sophie Cunningham's recent experience may be one of the clearest and most overlooked examples of just how powerful the Caitlin Clark effect has become. It highlights that Clark's influence extends far beyond viewership numbers, affecting the attention surrounding teammates, opponents, and the league as a whole in ways many people are only beginning to recognize.